Hello everyone and welcome to the OB video for Winter Series 5 at Lakeview Park in Nampa, Idaho. As you can see, we have some wonderful graphics and a big shout out and thank you to Kaylee Corbin for those. She did those for the last Winter Series as well, and they're super awesome. So everyone give a big shout out to Kaylee. Thank her when you see her. I'm going to try and keep this fairly quick so everyone can actually get through this. And if YouTube lets me, I'll also put timestamps for each hole. So if you're out tomorrow and you can't figure something out, you should be able to go straight to it. These photos will also be up on the Facebook page. So starting out with hole 1, about 316 feet. Really, for right-handed players, it's going to be a forehand. There is an OB line painted down the left, and there's a path on the right that's not really in play. So just keep those two things in mind. And we'll move on to hole 2 here. Cool, so hole 2, you're teeing off from right behind those reeds. If you do get your disc stuck in there, don't spend too much time looking for it. We'll be going back afterwards. I'll probably put a drone up. If you lose one in there, let me know, and we'll go look for it, and we'll get it back to you. The basket is pretty close to an OB, and you can kind of see those two trees. They're kind of big bushy trees. Discs do tend to get stuck in there once in a while too. So if you flew into it and you can't find it, you're probably just in the first one. Figure out where you went OB and play from there. But this is pretty easy, gettable hole. So on to hole 3. Hole 3 has a mando to the right. All those mandos are marked with a pink tape around whatever tree it is or post in one hole. This one has some pretty tight OB along the left. There's a lot of picnic tables set up along that building on the left near the basket. I drew a line, an OB line around those, so it is a little tighter than it looks. To get from hole 3 to hole 4, once you play hole 3, you'll go along the top left of this picture and across the bridge. It's on the top left to get to hole 4, just in case you don't have U-disc. Once you get around, you'll go over a bridge and immediately right through a gate, and the tee pad's right there for hole 4. And hole 4 is kind of just straight ahead, probably righty turnover shot. If you do end up in the road or over the fence on the right, that will be OB. From hole 4, basically take a big left and you'll walk maybe 150 feet out along the rose garden. The rose garden's right on the bottom of this picture behind this, so you can't quite see it. There will be flags out there. And then the basket's it's going to be straight ahead, tucked into those trees. Really nothing in your way. Parking lot's way to the right. Will be OB if you land in the parking lot. On to hole 6, just a short walk towards the entrance to the main parking lot. Try not to land in the road on this one. The road and the parking lot will be OB, but really there's no other hazards for this one. To get to hole 7, you'll walk under that airplane. Tee pad's right on the other side of it. And this is one of the bomber holes for the day. It's a little bit of a soft par 4, really. It's pretty easy to get up and down for that 3. But it is about 450, 460 feet. Basket's way out. Tucked in the trees pretty far away. And the road on the right and beyond will be OB. And if you somehow get to the rose garden, that will be OB as well. On to hole 8. Actually, this is the one hole that's kind of along the rose garden. Try not to have discs land in there if possible. So we have a mando right of that one big tree. And the basket's tucked right in between two trees at the end. I know I said some of the tree wells are OB. Those are generally the ones in the, quote, main area of the park, and they usually have a rubber marker around them, like a trim. So these tree wells will not be OB, just to clarify. They are inbounds. Oh, nothing too tricky. On to the next hole, hole 9. This tree is marked. It's a little deceptive in here, but it ends up playing as kind of a turnover or forehand for right-handed players. Lefties probably really love me right now when they get to this hole. People are normally parked along both those roads, so I'm trying to avoid hitting any cars. If you do miss the Mando, it'll be a retee. And to get to hole 10, you'll actually come back across the bridge that is on the left-hand side of this picture. So you'll take a left from the basket, and it's a little bit backwards. Once you get up there, you'll basically go straight all the way to the it's like the fence for the swim park, and a little bit to the right, and you'll be looking down the tunnel towards the basket in a hole 10. And you can see that here. So this plays is kind of a big tunnel shot. There's a lot of ways to get up there. This is a very drivable par 4 if you have a big arm. Pretty easy to get up and down into, but if you do find yourself left with 150, 200 feet, just be aware it does drop off elevation-wise behind the basket. And it's pretty easy to find yourself either on the path or across it or in the amphitheater, and both those play as OB. From here we go on to one of the signature holes in Lakeview, hole 11, which has been on this course as long as I've been playing Winter Series. So hole 11 is a big dog leg to the left. Calling it a par 5 mostly because the scoring average last year was actually like 6 point something, and even for pro it was over 5. I think there's potential for someone to get a 2, either a big drive that kind of cuts the corner or a throw in. There are some lines to get all the way there, but more than likely you'll find yourself 50 feet from the tee pad, scrambling to try and get your 5. So good luck. If conditions hold, I expect to see some eagles on this one. All right, guys. From here you walk straight ahead from the basket to get to hole 12. Hole 12 does have a double Mando. The arrow on the left probably isn't quite the right tree, but they're both marked with pink ribbon. If you do miss those, it's a retee. It's pretty wide off the tee. I know it doesn't look like it here. And then the fun part about this hole, it technically plays as an island, but it is a huge island. There's a lot more inbounds to the top left of this picture that isn't shown. But across the path or the road will be OB, and in that gravel area before the basket will be OB. Once you cross inbounds, though, play it wherever your last inbounds point was. So normal OB rules. I'm not being too mean this year. You can see hole 12's basket here on the right. Hole 13's kind of a fun one. Hoping to get a marksman on this hole. And this is just between two little white trees out there. So really enticing ace run. Maybe a tricky green. Go get it. And by the way, the paths do play as OB. But if you find yourself in the grass somewhere kind of random, you're inbounds, just be aware there are some other holes if you end up pretty far left or deep. And just yield to those players, okay? This is going to be one of the longer walks on the day. It's not that far, but it's up a hill. So once you get to the basket, you'll basically turn right and you'll walk up the hill. Hole 14 plays off of a brick pad. There's also some room off to the right of it given if you want to play from the grass. I don't know what conditions are going to be like yet. But yeah, so you're playing downhill, and path and left is going to be OB. And the basket's going to be tucked pretty far into the left here. So have fun. This is a nice risk-reward hole. I struggle with it personally, but I've seen a lot of people nail it. So go get that birdie. Hole 15 is a pretty typical hole. You're coming out of that corner by the ramp and the staircase that go up to the road. The whole left side is OB. This one again is an island. It's pretty short. Basket's going to be tucked in on a narrow green, but there's a big layup zone on the left-hand side as well. So you've got a lot of options here, but if you don't cross inbounds, it's going to be a retee. If you do cross inbounds, play standard OB rules. 16 is also pretty normal. You'll be able to see the tee pad very easily from hole 15's basket. And this one plays across that water. If it does rain in the day or two before, just beware the bridge you have to cross and that little strip kind of right in the middle of the picture, right to the left of the number 16, can be slippery. Once you get over the bridge, I'd recommend trying to stay on the grass or the leaves, whatever's there, because that can be a little slick. And then I think everyone sees it, but the water's OB, the reeds are OB, the street's OB, and the parking lot's OB. Awesome hole. Again, been there as long as I have. And then I added this last year, but it's a nice little ace run for everyone. 173 feet. There is a Mando to the left of that tree. I'm just trying to keep people out of the parking lot for sure. Nice short little hole. From here, you will use the crosswalk. Please use the crosswalk, guys. I know people from the city might be out watching, and I don't want to see people jaywalking. So use that crosswalk, and you'll walk maybe 100, 150 feet in. Hole 18 is flagged. And the Mando tree here, I actually did change it to the one closer. So it's that tree just to the right of the number 18 that's going to be the Mando. The one I marked doesn't really do anything. The parking lot's going to be OB, and water and beyond is OB. From here, you'll cross that concrete bridge. So you'll have to walk backwards a little bit. Then T-pads on the opposite side of that concrete bridge. Hole 19 is a fun one. If you don't get across the water, you get to re-tee on this one. Water and right is OB. If you do make it across, and I'll try and specify this day of for all the banks, but if it snows or rains, which it shouldn't, but it might, those get really muddy and kind of slick, and I'll give everyone casual relief up to where it is flat if the weather was bad. And again, I'll try and specify that day of. Hole 20 kind of plays from the corner up ahead of hole 19's basket. This is another one of those kind of classic holes at Lakeview. What you can't see is those railroad tracks are up on a big hill, and where the OB line is a chain link fence. So if you're across that fence, you're OB. Please be careful if you're going to get a disc over there. I know in years past I've seen people, even land on top of the railroad tracks and crawl all the way up there. Just be careful. Be mindful about that kind of stuff. Hole 21 straight ahead. It's a very short hole. Has a Mando to the right, and it's a fairly low ceiling the whole way. The playground has nice concrete ledge, so if you're all the way enclosed in that concrete ledge, you're OB. If you're across the fence that's on the right, you're OB. And if you're across the path or the parking lot, if you end up over there, you are also OB. If you miss the Mando, it's going to be a re-tee. And then the last hole, hole 22. T-pad's pretty close to that, just kind of coming back. There is a Mando. I don't actually know which one it is, but I think it's actually the one right below the arrow. It's hard to tell off satellite view. But it's a big, bushy, kind of round, tubular shrub. And you got to go to the left of that one. There is a drop zone marked right by it as well. So you can kind of see those flags out there. And that's going to tell you which tree the Mando is. Again, lefties have fun. And then for everyone, again, please go to that crosswalk to get back to hole 1. It's right on the way. I did that intentionally. So if you have any questions, please feel free to message me on Facebook or comment below. And I will see everyone Friday evening for the player meeting, probably around 8:30 p.m. somewhere. Cards will also be posted tomorrow, Friday, sometime after 2 p.m., probably 3, 4, 5 p.m. somewhere. So be watching for that.